In this video, we'll show you how to replace the wheel bearing hub on your Ford Edge. This is located in the front of the vehicle and behind the wheel. Let's get started. With the vehicle raised and supported, we can remove the lug nuts with a 21mm. And we can go ahead and remove the wheel. We can remove the axle nut with a 32mm. We can disconnect the brake hose from the strut with a 10mm. In our case, the bolt broke. Now we can remove the caliper bracket bolts with an 18mm. And we can remove the rotor. Now we can remove the hub bolts with a 15mm. Now I'm going to strike either side of the hub with a hammer, try to get that to free up from the knuckle. And you can remove the hub. Now I'm going to use some brake parts cleaner and a brush to clean up the hub mating surface. Now I'm going to apply some anti-seize to the hub mating surface. And we can apply some anti-seize to the axle as well. Now we can install one of the hub bolts from the backside to help line up the hub while we install it into the knuckle. And get this started onto the axle. Push it into the knuckle and you can start to thread in your first bolt. It can help to move the hub around while you get these started in. And we can snug these down. And now we can torque these in a crisscross pattern to 98 foot-pounds. We can apply some fresh anti-seize to the hub. And get the rotor on. And I'm going to go ahead and use an axle nut and one of the lug nuts. And that'll help hold the rotor to the hub while we get the caliper on. You want to make sure that your brake hose isn't twisted, and we can get our hardware in. We can go ahead and snug the bracket bolts down. And we can torque this to 111 foot-pounds. We can get our brake hose in place. We'll get the hardware in. And we can snug that down. We can remove the lug nut that we used to hold our rotor on. And get the axle nut started on. We'll snug that down. If you have an assistant, you can have them hold the brakes, that way this doesn't rotate. If not, I'm using a pry bar between two of the lug studs. You want to be careful not to damage the lug studs though. We can torque this to 148 foot-pounds. We'll reinstall the wheel. And we can line up the lug studs with the holes in the wheel. I'm going to press in down at the bottom of the wheel. We can install the lug nuts. I like to thread the first one all the way in, and that'll help hold the wheel in while I put the other lug nuts on. And we'll snug those down in a star pattern. With the vehicle on the ground, we can go ahead and torque these to 162 foot-pounds in a star pattern.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.